Tuesday.
1015 FM, KDAWN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Welcome to the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show. We're also streaming on that Odyssey app, AUDACY. Go get that now, and maybe a unicorn will show up at your house. It'll be just that magical. So go get that Odyssey app right now and check out our show, all the great shows on KDAWN, and from tons of them from around the world, including our buddy Stu Myrick's show, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are also live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X. So we are out there. However you want to find us, we got you covered. And we're going to bring the best in pro wrestling news to you for the next 2 hours. And it is a very special day in Las Vegas. And we'll get to talk about that a couple of times during the show. But of course, if I don't bring this guy in, it just makes the show not quite as good. I almost said bad, but I went the other way on that. Welcome, Phil Stamper, everybody. What's going on?
Okay. Does the unicorn come with Big E like riding on the back?
No.
Oh, come on.
There's only one Big E. I mean, I can't make a guarantee that Big E would show. Yeah, maybe he'll come over.
It's like Santa Claus. He can come to like multiple houses in the same day.
There you go. That'll work. Yeah. So download the Odyssey app, and Phil says Big E will come into your house and ride a unicorn. That's fantastic. I'm happy about that. Of course, Phil from the Wrestling Revolver.
Thank you.
Always indie expert. Very happy to have him joining me on the show today. And before we get into all the wrestling news, we're going to talk more in depth about the card that's coming up here in Las Vegas. The Future Stars of Wrestling is putting on Mecca 10 with pretty much everybody. It is the benefit for Bay to help out Chris Bay, and after his terrible accident where he was paralyzed in October, but he's back on his feet now. But, of course, a long road to recovery for Chris. So the entire wrestling world has come together to support Chris. And just to give you a fast rundown on who all is going to be there tonight, because it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Karrion Kross is wrestling Hammerstone tonight. We got the FSW championship on the line with Danny Limelight. Frankie Kazarian is going to be there. Our good friend G Sharp, TJ Perkins is going to be there. Ice Williams, who's of course, a big star around here and is a WWE ID person. Brian Cage from AEW is going to be there. He's wrestling Rich Swann tonight. Kenny King is taking on Swerve Strickland. So that should be a wild one. Of course, Kenny, longtime ROH standout, and Kenny King Swerve Strickland from AEW. Leo Rush from AEW is going to be here. John Morrison and Ace Austin from TNA. They're going to hook it up in a triple threat tonight. That's going to be wild. We've got a great tag team matchup featuring the Rascals. We've also got our FSW champs, Makeshift Chemistry, plus the Unguided. A couple of great guys there, Matt Vandegrift and Damian Drake. Lights Camera Faction is in this as well, which means all hell's going to break loose in that one. Ricochet is going to be here tonight. Rob Van Dam is going to be here. I believe Rhino is slated as well. And from what I'm hearing, there will be more surprises. I think Jay Vidal is going to be there tonight too.
I think Ace Austin as well.
Yeah. So this is going to be an unbelievable evening, and getting all these people together from all the different companies around North America is going to be absolutely sensational. Get your tickets now. It starts at 5:00. It's going to be down at the Silverton, and you can be there for a part of pro wrestling history and help Chris out too. So go to fswvegas.com, get your tickets. Then there's a meet and greet at 3:15 as well. You can get tickets for as well. So you can meet all these guys. And like I said, Joe DeFalco, when he was on the show last week, So there's more surprises coming. Lord knows who's going to be there tonight. So you got to come out. It's a must.
Absolutely. I think this is an amazing event. The fact that Joe's able to pull this all together with all the different people, plus, I mean, it's all for Bay at the end of the day. And like I said last week, I think it speaks to the positive impact Bay has had on so many people.
Yeah. So please come on out tonight. Me and the gang are going to be there. It should be an exciting evening. So please come out for the benefit for Bay. Mecca 10, presented by Future Stars of Wrestling at the Silverton Casino. So don't wait. Seriously, get a ticket now. Now. All right. Well, a lot happening in the wrestling world, outside the wrestling world, that's tying into the wrestling world. This is going to be a weird show today. I'm just warning you right now. We're going to talk about some funky, crazy stuff.
Yeah. And I think some might be a little dour. Some might be ridiculously exciting. Like, it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, we're taking this everywhere today. But let's start with the road to WrestleMania, shall we? Because let's do it. Because we had a few matches added to the card this week. We're going to start with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton and KO trying to convince Randy, let's wrestle for the tag titles. I miss you, buddy. And Randy Orton told him to shove it. And all hell breaks loose. So we get Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And boy, Kevin just keeps getting these great matches at WrestleMania, Phil. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see this one.
Yeah. I'm guessing you're talking about the triple threat?
I'm getting there, but I'm talking about Randy and Kevin first.
Well, is that officially announced? Because I was going through stuff and I'm like, wait a minute. Is it? Like,
it's on the Wikipedia page, so it's up there. They're missing one actually on there, but that's going to be a war. I mean, what a terrific match coming up between these two guys. I mean, who do you want to win?
I think I want Kevin Owens to win. I don't know if he will.
I would agree. I'm a KO guy, man. I love KO.
Yeah.
So that should be a pretty wild one. They got a nice build to that, and then I'm gonna go to this one before we talk about the triple threat match. The Tiffany Charlotte promo. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair will be wrestling for Tiffany's Women's Championship. And Phil, I hate to say it, but that promo was a nightmare for Tiffany. And it just, and I don't know if it was just because they were in different places and they couldn't sync up, but I mean, that thing just did not work at all.
So, like, I consume much of my wrestling these days. A lot of it's through X. And I saw a line, but it wasn't linked to a video. So I don't know if this line was actually said. Did Charlotte call Tiffany the Temu Charlotte?
Oh, I forgot. I watched the promo again today before the show. I can't remember if she did that, but that would make sense. But and it's a shame too, because I have a feeling this is going to be a barn burner of a match. Two incredible athletes. I mean, look, Charlotte's my number one draft pick for women in pro wrestling. It's still no doubt to me, even though Rhea's pretty close. But if I'm picking one person to build around, I'm building around the best, and that's Charlotte. And this has Tiffany in a really rough spot because I think the character change going from heel to face, and just a little bit of inexperience going against the highly experienced Charlotte Flair. This lead up has just been odd.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do you think?
It feels to me directly like this is the build for Charlotte to return, take back the championship, end of story, done. Sorry, Tiffany. Like, this is how I feel they're directing it. So it's almost like all this is just clutter at the bottom because they don't really have an interest in this really well-developed storyline for why this is going to happen. It's just a route to get Charlotte back to the championship.
Yeah. And, look, I know they're talking to mega push for Charlotte, but I just wonder what's going to happen to Tiffany after this. It's, this is one of those situations where you get the big rise and what could be a pretty nasty fall. I mean, I don't think she's going to fall off the face of the earth or anything, but I think this is going to hurt her. I'm sorry.
She might just fall off a Titantron or two, but
yeah, that was those were interesting too, because if you missed it last week, she did these two backflips off first the post and then the smaller Titantron, but it's still a pretty big fall. But she never hit Charlotte. She never hit her. She hit all the security people, knocked them over like bowling pins. And Phil, I hate that spot. I just hate the 40 people standing around waiting to catch somebody. You know, why didn't somebody just go up and just, or everybody just move away and say, get out? No, done. I don't want to, no.
When it's done well, it's good. When it's done in the, like, we're going to stand here for 5 minutes and stare at you, waiting for you to come.
Yeah. So, yeah, this has been kind of a weird buildup, but, hopefully it's going to be worth it at WrestleMania. The two of them should be in ring a pretty good pairing, so we'll see how it turns out. And then Italy goes crazy with our good friends Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Roman Reigns as they're going nuts in there. And we get the big promo, and finally the match is put together that we've been speculating about for a while. And this is going to be a hell of a triple threat, I will say. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns to meet up at WrestleMania. Who knows what Paul Heyman's going to do? I hope he ends up with Seth Rollins personally and says, screw both of you, I'm going home. But, Phil, this looks like this should be the main event for night one, I would think.
See, I was thinking that, but then I'm like, but do you do that over one of the other, the World Heavyweight Championship or the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship? And maybe you do. I know that on one random wrestling dirt sheet, and who knows if this is true, that there were some rumors that people were concerned in the WWE that ticket sales were actually a little down for this Mania, because by that point I don't think they had announced Cody Rhodes Cena, or they had just announced it, but they had announced Gunther versus Jey Uso, and that there seemed to be not as much energy towards it as they thought. In regards to ticket sales, I think there's a lot of other factors in play. That's why I'm also like, a random wrestling website, was this true? When they say it, how much of that you can really hold on to. But I could see it becoming that. You would give then Punk you've actually finally done a WrestleMania main event. For real, you are the final last match of the evening. I also, like, my brain is going through the possible, what if Heyman and Seth Rollins joined forces? I was like, ooh.
See, we share a brain sometimes. Right. It's scary, Phil.
But I wasn't thinking about it until you said it, to be fair. Yeah. But I do like it. It does feel weird from the perspective. I saw somebody like crap on this match, and I'm like, no, like, these are three solid competitors. They're gonna do fine. And they were like, there's absolutely no build and no connection between these three. And I'm like, who the hell are you?
What?
Yeah, it was the weirdest, like, complaint of, and I'm like, they've been building Seth Rollins and Punk for 2 years. They've been building Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for 12 years.
Yeah.
Like the only two people who don't really have a beef maybe are Punk and Reigns, but there's a month to WrestleMania. They'll hate each other by then. Like, yeah. So I feel like the three of them together, it's going to be combustible. It's what you want. It's going to be three or big name draws. Make it, if it becomes your main event, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I do too. I still want the one-on-one big time match with Roman and Seth. Mm-hmm. But I prefer it to be for a championship. But this is going to be a pretty good one. So brace yourselves, everybody. And unfortunately, I think I would think that's probably going to put Jey Uso's match with Gunther to lead off WrestleMania on day one. I think that's where you position it, but I suppose we'll find out. Would you agree with that?
I would. I look at this match and I'm like, is there any other scenario other than just Gunther running shop? Like, I don't really see Jey Uso coming out as the top guy right now. I just don't.
Oh, yeah. And, it brings up an interesting topic because the botch that he had the other night where he was going over the ropes and got caught, it just ignited this Jey Uso shouldn't be in this match discussion and just made it way worse. And it was funny that I did see online that somebody posted Jay's miss where he got tangled in the ropes to AJ Francis on the bottom. And yeah, it was honestly, I hate to say it, it was pretty similar. It was pretty similar. And, like I said, it just ignited a firestorm that Jey Uso maybe should not be winning this match. And man, I don't want to rip Jay. I'm a Gunther guy. I mean, I base it on I want Gunther as the champ. But at the same time, am I okay with Jay winning this? Sure. But I don't know. This has gotten to be a very tricky spot for WWE with this one, Phil.
Yeah, I agree. But they've been successful in digging themselves out of certain holes before like this. When I think Sheamus, Bryan Danielson for a 20-second match. I feel like there's ways that you can work around this.
Yeah, so it should be fascinating to see where that goes. By the way, in the chat box, Bionic Scoop is in there and said Mark Phil. So of course we've got to say, Scoop, what's going on, brother? One of the best photographers in pro wrestling. And he said, see you later today. And that is true. Scoop's going to be down there doing photography. So should be a lot of fun to see Scoop and everybody down there at the Silverton. And I'm not going to put the one up that Dime Drawer 4 put in, but we'll go with Gunther in a 3-minute squash. You like that, Phil? Gunther in a 3-minute squash?
I feel that one. To be very honest, I feel that one. And I think that it gives Jay more fire for later. Like, take some more time and make him a main event guy. I think that means he needs to adapt his style a little. Botches happen. People slip. Like that shouldn't derail him totally. But if anything, it should inform, all right, maybe there's a style change I do need to do if I'm going to be this main event guy. And what is that? Because at that level, you're not expected to have those moments. It happens.
Yeah.
But now, okay, work past it and show us you can work past it. So, all right, be knocked down because we want to see you recover. We want to see you come up bigger and stronger. And put it at SummerSlam, and maybe there's another opportunity or something else bigger that could be done for Jey Uso.
Yeah. And, just real fast before we had to break, there was a very interesting clip because I don't know if you saw that on this European swing, Gunther was in the ring with CM Punk.
Uh-huh.
And there was a video of Punk taking a chop from Gunther that was one of the most brutal chops I've ever seen. And Punk's just down in the ring tapping and just like, oh my God. That was the match I wanted. Phil, that was what I wanted. I wanted Gunther Punk. Why couldn't I get it?
The funniest thing to me is Punk does tap out. Like, it's not like big waving hand. It's like the small little like inch level, like I'm tapping now. And somebody in the crowd sees it like he tapped out. So I almost was like, all right, match is done.
It makes a little tease.
Right. There's part of my brain. And again, we're entering like weird conspiracy theory Phil brain, where part of me wonders, like, has he been told, CM Punk, listen, we're bringing you back. You are not winning the championship. Or we need to give you a few years to get reacclimated because we need to make sure we can trust you and all this stuff again. Like, part of me is that is in my brain somewhere. I don't know if that's true, but it's like,
yeah, it's a possibility.
Right.
It's a possibility.
And so I can see that, but seeing that moment and like the look on Punk's face is like,
oh, it was
OGD.
it was pretty cool. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, just do a search on X and you'll definitely find that one. All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we didn't get to cover a couple things going on in WWE last week, including what happened at NXT Roadblock and TNA Sacrifice. I want to make sure we get into those. And Mox, Jesus. Oh, Renee must be going nuts. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Looking for high-quality custom screen printing in Las Vegas? Look no further than Off Grid Creations. Need a few custom t-shirts for a local event, band merchandise, or family reunion? We've got you covered. Large order of uniforms for your staff, sports team, or club? We can handle that too. Our experienced team will work closely with you throughout the entire process from design consultation to final product. Call us at 661-300-1115. That's 661-300-1115. Or visit our website at off-gridcreations.com. Get a free consultation today.
There go the Georges again, off to Kanab.
Yeah, Bill couldn't stop talking about it all week.
Ooh, I want to try sand surfing.
I want to see the wave. I want to sleep under the stars.
I want some peace and quiet.
Oh, sorry, Dad.
No, I meant in Kanab. Let's go. If we hurry, we can catch the Georges. A launch point to national parks, otherworldly landscapes, and hidden walkways. Base Camp Kanab. Stay here to go anywhere. Plan your trip at visitsouthernutah.com. Produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8 year old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning online learning program.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by education experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 10,000 learning activities and more than 850 lessons, it's an engaging and comprehensive curriculum. More info at abcmouse.com/radio.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse. It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
1015 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Yeah, I'm just shimmying and swaying on the live stream. Lost a little weight, so I'm feeling a little peppier. It's all good. But thanks for being with us here on the Mark Hoke Show. Here on KDAWN on 1015 FM. Talk Las Vegas. Best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Phil Stamper, slightly amused, along for the ride with me today. Are you okay, Phil?
Okay, somebody needs to audio balance some of these commercials. Every now and again, I'm like throwing my headphones off.
Yeah, they occasionally do. There's one or two in there that kind of pop.
Pop.
Sorry, we try.
Yeah.
We try, but
Yes.
I don't know.
By the way, we love our sponsors.
Yeah, well, get their attention. By the way, I got an email about this, and somebody in the chat box brought this up. And JS says, anyone see the wrestling art exhibit at the West Sahara Public Library? There is a really neat art exhibit at the Sahara West Library that is devoted to pro wrestling. That's up right now. So going on as we lead into WrestleMania. So, and I did get an email about this. Show highlights male and female professional wrestling, Mexican tradition of lucha libre, Japan's national sport of sumo, and even the internal struggle of man versus self. Phil knows about that. Deals with that every day, right?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are we going?
I think we all do. But yeah, so if you want to check it out, it's at the West Sahara Public Library. So go down and take a look. It looks pretty neat. I'm going to have to head down
versus wrestling art.
Yeah, there you go. So head on over. Sahara Public Library, West Sahara Public Library. All right, Phil, we didn't get to talk about what happened in NXT Roadblock last week because we were talking to Joe DeFalco about the benefit for Bay, which once again is today, 5 p.m. Get over there, or if you're a wrestling fan and you're not going to this show, you are brain dead. I'm sorry. This is going to be amazing. But I thought there are a couple of really cool things I thought that happened in NXT Roadblock that I wanted to hit. And first was Moose and that match with Obafemi. Have you seen Moose look that good ever? I mean, I've seen Moose in some pretty good matches, but those two were a dance partnership made in wrestling heaven, I thought. Terrific effort by Moose.
Yeah, I completely agree. Moose is a physical specimen, and he was a physical specimen before he looked this good on NXT. I think that just speaks to his level of commitment to himself, to the world of professional wrestling, to his willingness to keep showing up and being better each time he shows up.
Yeah, of course, he is currently the TNA X Division champion, and they put a nice little match together against the NXT champ there. And and it's just so crazy when you look at Obafemi and realize he's only had about 30 some matches in his career. He doesn't look like it. I mean, that guy is going to be an absolute superstar. I can't wait to see him get up on the main roster and tear people apart.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that was a terrific effort by Moose, and maybe he'll get some more WWE love. But then we also had the big title versus title match. Stephanie McCour knocks off Julia. She is now a double champion in NXT. And of course, they go in right away. Coming up next week, she's going to be doing 2 matches defending the NXT Women's Championship and the NXT North American Championship. I would like to wish her the best of luck on that. She's awesome, but I have a feeling one of those titles may be going bye-bye. But a great effort, especially Julia, who is rumored to be injured, which is why they had to do this match. What do you think about that, Phil? It's Stephanie McCour, who had a match on AEW, and WWE just saw it and swooped her up, and now all of a sudden is a double champion in NXT. What a ride for her.
I mean, again, she's doing great stuff, and I'm glad she got recognized for it. And double recognized, because now she's a double champion.
That's so crazy. From where Phil, this was only like 8 or 9 months ago that she was it wrestled that one match for AEW. Mm-hmm. She was completely off the major companies' maps, and then all of a sudden, bam, double champ in NXT. So congratulations to her as well.
Less than a month she was signed. In less than a month.
It's nuts. TNA Sacrifice. The big thing that we had there was Nick Nemeth and his brother Ryan turn on the Hardys and tore Matt Hardy apart in that steel cage, locking everybody up. That scene kind of reminded me of the old War at the Omni with Dusty Rhodes and the Horsemen, where they barely got out. Mm-hmm. Kind of the way they were acting in the ring. It was pretty neat. But your thoughts on a Nemeth Hardy feud? Apparently,
I'm excited for it, and these are big names. We talk about. I when I look at him, I have to say Ziggler. I'm sorry, Nemeth versus the Hardys, and what bigger names in wrestling are there than the Hardys? I think that just has so much attention coming to it. Nick Nemeth, by the way, got to meet last night at MCW in Maryland, wrestled Miles Hawkins. Tonight is wrestling Brian Johnson, the Mecca, in Dundalk, Maryland. So that'll be really exciting to have him out this way. But to have him feud with the Hardys, I think that's just such a cool dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a great chance for Ryan too, because it just feels like you've been waiting for a long time for Ryan to get into some sort of main event picture other than being associated with his brother. So I think this is going to be a great chance for him to show what he can do. I mean, those two guys are great. And Nick's a terrific guy. I've gotten a chance to meet him. We've had him here in the studio, and just a really cool dude. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it on TV that he sometimes comes off as being a real jerk, but he's actually a really, really neat guy. He probably is going to shoot me when I tell everybody that I I'm breaking the
Called him
fourth
a
wall
neat
on him.
guy.
Yeah, he is really neat. I mean, he's kind of a comic geek, and the comedy, he and his brother do. Hunkamania is, and I forgot which night it's going to be, but they'll be doing that comedy show here in Las Vegas, and I got to see it when they did it a while back. Was that last year, 2 years ago? But it's a lot of fun. So I recommend going to Hunkamania. I believe I want to say it's going to be over at the Nerd, but I'll have to.
It is. It's at the Nerd on April 17th from 11 to 11:30 p.m.
Oh my God. Another thing on the 17th?
Yep.
Jeez. Do you know how crazy the 17th is, Phil? You do, actually. You got the calendar.
It feels like it's becoming more and more.
Oh, because that's the night, and correct me if I'm wrong, TNA has their card. Bloodsport's got their card. And I know there's a million other indie cards going on too, but those are like the two to me that I'm just like, man, I can't wait.
Defy, SAE, Oasis, Pandemonium, big Kurt White's Big Time Wrestling, Stardom, Phase 1, WrestleCon's Mark Hitchcock Memorial, West Coast Pro, Dusk, Winner's Circle, Spark Joshi, World's Greatest Wrestling, TNA, Molina's Divas and Drag, Prestige, Demand Lucha, Destiny, Bloodsport, Marks R Us, Banger Zone, Micromania, Fighting Evolution, Marvelous Pro, and Progress. All are happening on Thursday.
That is ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank God I didn't. I'm glad I didn't plan Hulkamania for Thursday night there. But yeah, by the way, Phil, you never told me. Are you coming?
I see all of my plans got ruined, and so I really should.
Phil, you gotta come on, man.
We'll talk more off air.
Okay, we'll talk off air.
How about this? If anybody's listening, book me. Pay for my flight. I will be there.
I'll talk to Joe today. I will talk to Joe. You could. I bet you could come in handy on one of the FSW cards. But yeah, so this is a pretty wild scene at TNA Sacrifice as well. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting run for the Nemesis and the Hardys, and possibility of maybe having the Hardys on the show. So brace yourselves, everybody.
Very cool.
Oh,
they are great to work with too. Like they've wrestled at a top level, and they're just top level in how they work on the backside of wrestling too, on the business end. And so like I've always appreciated the times I've worked with them.
I don't even like, where would you start? Just first interview, where would you start with those guys?
Right.
I mean, it's so crazy, just everything that they've done and gone through. It's I better have if Ross is definitely setting that up for me, I better have like an hour with those guys, because we'll 2-part that sucker.
Right. 2 hours. Like I'm like, you're gonna get 1 hour done? Okay, awesome.
should be very interesting. So but so just wanted to make sure we got those couple things mentioned. And I think this is going to be a good spot to take a break. But I do want to remind everybody, speaking of Phil talking about travel plans, because he is coming to WrestleMania, there's no question about it. You want to get yourself booked with the Travel Shark. Go to thetravelshark.com/Hoke Show, and you're going to be able to book some incredible hotel prices. They have some deals on there right now. I can't even believe it. It's powered by Priceline. It gets you all of the those great employee and mystery discounts without having to guess what hotel you're staying at. Because trust me, you don't want to guess what hotel you're staying at in Las Vegas. There's some interesting possibilities you would like to avoid. So go sign up today at thetravelshark.com/Hoke Show. Don't forget that part, because that's the one that helps me out and helps, maybe get Phil flown out here. So check it out today. Sign up, and I'm telling you, no matter if it's WrestleMania or any other traveling you're doing, unbelievable deals on there. You'll be glad you did. All right, let's take a break, and a lot more from the world of pro wrestling. And you can tell there's some stuff I'm saving. We have a governor and a mayor who may be getting into a fight. and a wild night at the NCAA Wrestling Championships. And does it mean anything for pro wrestling? We'll discuss it when we return on the Mark Hoke Show here in hour one. We'll be right back.
You know, choosing the right real estate agent can make a huge difference in the money you make from a sale. Hey, Sean Hannity here, and you've heard me talk about how I'm an active investor, and as I travel across this great country, one thing I see time and time again, the wrong agent can cost you thousands of dollars. If I needed to sell a home in your area, no question, there's only one team I trust. I'm talking about the Brancas team of Keller Williams Realty, the Marketplace. The Brancas team serves the entire Las Vegas area. The truth is most agents only sell a couple of homes a month, and they only invest a few $100s on marketing every year. Now, this is the team that has the tools, the experience, the marketing budget to get your home in front of most buyers today, and that means looking at your home. Now, you can get multiple offers and sell for the most money possible. Now, find them online at thebrancusteam.com. That's BRENKUS team.com.
License number BS 16186. Call for details.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful. Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
1015 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's keep this rolling. The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on The Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also streaming on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. If you download that app now, Phil will come to WrestleMania. Right now. Just do it.
I'll just come right now and
set up AUDACY. And we are also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So we appreciate everybody joining us here. So yeah, I'm trying not to laugh here because Bionic Scoop, we were talking about the Travel Shark and booking hotels, and he said, yeah, use the site. Might end up at the Sunset Motel on Boulder Highway. That would be incorrect, ladies and gentlemen. Thunderbird. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be slamming hotels or motels here in Las Vegas, but they are interesting. Phil, there you go. You could stay at the Sunset Motel.
I don't think so.
No. I want you to stay at the Santa Fe right by my place.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right up the street. Pretty cool.
Oh, I can't remember the name. I stayed at Planet Hollywood before.
Planet Hollywood's fun. I like Planet Hollywood. The Miracle Mile and everything. You're going to find if you come out, guys, that, and Phil is the master of knowing everything that is happening pro wrestling wise in Las Vegas for WrestleMania. It's just going to be so much fun. And, we want Las Vegas to show up and show out, and you will not be lacking for something to do. And by the way, if you got $25,000, you can have dinner with John Cena.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wasn't it only like 150 to have like a meet and greet with Cody Rhodes?
I think it's a little more. I think it's a little more than that, but
it wasn't much more. I feel like it was like just right around that during Royal Rumble.
And what was Triple H's? Triple H put up a meet too for like $8,000 or $9,000.
Okay.
Where you get to hang out with him for a little bit at the Hall of Fame ceremonies and sit close to him. Isn't that sweet? A lot of crazy pricing going on. And speaking of John Cena showed up on Raw. I told everybody this was going to be a John Cena therapy session. I told you that. I was not kidding. And I was right. John went off. It was about I think it was a 26-minute segment between what he did and Cody coming out. But just let everybody know, you did nothing for me, and you treated me badly, and I was there for you, but you weren't there for me, and just went off. And Phil, I'll be honest with you. There were a lot of things that he said. He was right.
Right.
I'm sorry, but he was right.
The best thing about being a heel is we can go a little a little off the cuff, and you bring in the elements of truth that, like, hey, I am this way because this happened. You all made me into this. You all wanted this, and now you're gonna hate it. Guess what? You made me into this. Like, I'm here for it.
I am too. And it's funny that I was thinking back over the years. Just, sometimes there were some booking things that happened, like with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania that I didn't like, and the Nexus, and we could hash that all day long. But a lot of times I really did feel for John over the years, getting all the John Cena sucks chants. And I just felt like it wasn't fair. While you can't control how Vince booked everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, John did a lot for pro wrestling and sacrificed so much. And, over the years, when you hear people say, well, John, hearing John Cena sucks. Yeah. Phil, you work as a heel, but
on
occasion, but as a baby face and straight baby face for about 20 years,
mm-hmm.
having people chanting John Cena sucks, that had to hurt him a little bit. I mean, Phil, tell me about that perspective as a performer, that you'd be given all that time to the fans and did all the Make-A-Wishes and everything else, and you still come out to full stadiums and hear John Cena sucks.
In the beginning when it happened, I think I might have said this before. I blamed Edge because Edge was the one who sort of popularized it. There was a promo that he really added the heat behind it to get almost like give the fans permission to say it out loud. And ever since then, like, of course it took off. And at first it was like, oh, this is just weird. But then it turned into like a joke. Like you hear Kurt Angle's music, you suck. But
Yeah.
then it was like, okay, you would sort of learn over time. It's just where people sort of are. It's not really how they feel about me, even though some might have. But
no, they did. I got to call this one. They did. There were.
They thought he was stale. They thought he was a pastiche of what happened in the 80s. Like, move forward. Like,
the 5 moves of doom and
Right.
the whole. I mean, people tore him apart.
Yep.
Tore him apart. The only time that I ever even ripped John Cena going into a match was, and it's a funny story. My daughter, when she was younger, this was back at Money in the Bank when all 3 of the Shield guys won the title, and Cena was wrestling AJ Styles, and I was rooting for AJ. My daughter loved John Cena. She loved him. Poor, I think she was 8 or 9 at the time. And I would just, as we were going to the match and we were kind of sitting there a little bit, I would slip it in. John Cena sucks. But not nailing John, but I was just razzing her.
Right.
But but I never thought John Cena sucked, but there's was some sincere hate out there for John, and if whether it was just fatigue or they just didn't like him. So
there's this weird thing about pro wrestling is that I still to this day say pro wrestling was our first reality TV show, because reality TV shows are so formatted and so put together and scripted to certain extents that it's sort of that's what wrestling became. Everyone believed what they were watching and seeing it happening. And so I think that's still there in a lot of people's brains. And so they got tired of the caricature maybe that they were seeing of John Cena. They didn't think he was being genuine. They didn't think he was like really him or something along those lines. And I think they were right to that extent. And there were times I felt like, man, I get it. Like 5 Moves of Doom. Okay, what's the next thing? And so, but as a person, you saw all the great works he was doing. Like you mentioned all the Make-A-Wish. Like he's the largest grantor of Make-A-Wishes.
Yep.
So like that's amazing. And he's moved into acting world, and so like we saw him there, and like we celebrated him doing those things, and it felt like this feels more natural. This is John Cena. When they showed Divas, the real Divas.
Oh, the Total Divas. I'm gonna tell you what, that show did him no favors.
No,
none. That show made him look like an obsessive jerk.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
and
you're right. I think
one thing that came from was, for those that didn't know, John had been married and divorced before that, and things didn't go well, and John was pretty protective of everything. Now, did he go overboard a little bit in everybody's eyes? Yeah, probably. But you don't know how a person lived before that for real, and what went on in his personal life to make him say, you know what, hey, is there water on the floor? You need to clean that up, and stuff like that he did in there, and the obsessive cleanliness, and here's the 2 hampers and all that kind of stuff. There's reasons why people do the things that they do, and Nikki was a guest, but the whole thing, that show stung him for years.
I think so too. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And that, again, because that was a glimpse at the real person of who he was. And so you see, I'm happy-go-lucky John Cena on TV, and that's not who we saw on this other show. Like, what's going on? And so that's how fans just coped. It was like, we're seeing this difference. You're trying to be this guy, but we think you're this other guy. And now we're seeing the other guy. And
it's fun. It is fun. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting main event. And by the way, betonline.ag, which, by the way, you can get a bonus with us if you go to markhokeshow.com and click on the banner. You can get a $500 or a 50% matching bonus up to $1,000. You get $500. John Cena on betonline.ag is now a -250 betting favorite to win the undisputed championship at WrestleMania. And I know some people are very torn on that, but what do you think? What do you think? Is John Cena's time now at WrestleMania?
I don't know.
Phil, it's Phil Stamper. It's tough.
I feel like, when I thought it was going to be like Mr. USA John Cena going against Gunther, I was like, yes, it's John Cena's time. Now that it's the John Cena we all wanted against the Cody Rhodes, has he worn out his welcome?
I don't think so. I think we're setting up something long term here at WrestleMania that's going to be a lot of fun. And brace yourself, Vegas, because Cena might be walking out with the undisputed championship. So, all right, we can talk about John Cena. I mean, we'll talk about more about John Cena in hour number 2.
Because I have a conspiracy theory with The Rock and John Cena. What's going to happen?
Oh, I've got some fun stuff on that. All right, everybody, we've got a whole lot more coming up for you in hour number 2 on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll dig a little bit more into the Benefit for Bay going on in Las Vegas. Get your tickets now down at Silverton, 5 o'clock today. And John Moxley, oh, dear God. If you didn't see what happened with him on Wednesday night, we're going to have a talk. My daughter and I had a talk, which was fascinating, and I'm going to bring this up in the next hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Choose from over 700 new Toyotas, all with the hottest incentives of the year during Centennial Toyota's March Mania sales event. Every Toyota on our lot is priced to sell. Camrys, RAV4s, Tacomas, Tundras, and more, all with a sign and drive deal to save you more. No added costs. That's right, pick any new Toyota off the lot, then just sign and drive. It's that easy. Plus, sell us your trade and score, because Centennial Toyota is paying top dollar for all trades. But hurry before these offers end. March Mania is going on now at Centennial Toyota, conveniently located in Centennial Center, or visit centennialtoyota.com, where it's fun to buy a car.
Select models approved. Credit includes all rebates, excludes tax, title, license, $5.99 dealer doc fee. New 2024 Tacoma, $75.40, 36 month lease, $429 per month, 0 due, 0 security, 12,000 annual miles, 15 cents per mile thereafter. Ends.
Nevada Volunteers is now accepting nominations for the 2025 Stars of Nevada Governor's Points of Light Awards. Presented by Caesars Entertainment, the Governor's Points of Light Awards are the highest honor bestowed by Nevada Volunteers and Governor Joe Lombardo for outstanding volunteerism and service in Nevada. Whether they're an individual, student, veteran, part of a nonprofit organization, or a corporate program, there's a category for everyone. Nominations are open now through May 31st. Don't miss your chance to recognize the selfless volunteers who are making a real difference in Nevada. Visit nevadavolunteers.org for the nomination link. Volunteering is the ultimate expression of community spirit. That's nevadavolunteers.org. It's the 2025 Stars of Nevada Governor's Points of Light Awards, presented by Caesars Entertainment. Nominate someone today. This message sponsored by Nevada Volunteers, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Do you have a special needs child or an older adult in your home? The risk of them leaving the house unnoticed is real and terrifying, but you can protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security. Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly monitoring plans. Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-939-1441. That's 800-939-1441. 800-939-1441.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
KMXB HD3 Henderson, K268CS Las Vegas. Always live on the free Odyssey app. 1015 FM KDAWN.
The Pope home from the hospital. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Pope Francis leaving Gemelli Hospital after 5 weeks of treatment for severe pneumonia, making his first public appearance before leaving the 88-year-old pontiff, giving a Sunday blessing from his hospital suite. His doctors now recommending 2 months of rest and rehabilitation for the pontiff, but they expect he'll make a full recovery if his progress continues. The Vatican says the Holy Father is in good spirits and looking forward to resuming his work. Meantime, the Pope received an outpouring of support from around the world during his hospital stay. The Italian Postal Service reports it handled a surge in mail, on some days up more than 300 pounds. Some letters were clearly written by children. Others simply were addressed to the Pope at Gemelli Hospital in Rome. The Trump administration says it will comply with a judge's order blocking the use of war powers to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. Border czar Tom Homan telling ABC's This Week the Venezuelans received due process under existing laws, despite criticism from legal experts who argue the administration is disregarding judicial rulings. The Pentagon is looking into recent unauthorized disclosures, according to a memo Friday from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's chief of staff. Fox's Jackie Ibanez reports.
The Pentagon's intelligence and law enforcement arms are investigating alleged leaks of national security information. The Defense Department plans to use polygraph tests as part of its probe. Officials say those responsible for the leaks will face criminal prosecution. The memo comes after President Trump pushed back on reports that Doge head Elon Musk would be briefed on war plans.
President Trump agreed with critics' concerns that Musk's business ties to China could be a conflict of interest, that he shouldn't see any plans for a hypothetical war with China. America is listening to Fox News.
Fox News Audio presents the Fox Nation Investigates podcast, Evil Next Door, exploring the life and crimes of 5 serial predators from across the United States.
It's a very disturbing case.
Never-before-heard interviews and first-hand perspectives.
Described as pure evil, that's a good description.
The Fox Nation Investigates podcast, Evil Next Door. Listen and follow now at foxtruecrime.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Get those W-2s ready. Tax season has arrived. It's the Fox Business Tax Tips. Fox News Radio's Ginny Casola and Hillary Barsky are joined by the hosts of the Fox Business Network to provide you with the latest tips, tricks, and updates on filing your taxes. From deadlines to tax law changes to the latest deductions, we'll cover it all to make sure you keep that hard-earned money where it belongs, in your pocket. Listen and follow the Fox Business Tax Tips at foxnewspodcasts.com.
You never hear me call myself a journalist. I'm not. I'm not a journalist. And a talk show host has opinions, and I do have an opinion. I'm an opinion journalist. I don't hide and say I'm object. I'm not.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at noon on 1015 KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Yeah, it's little old me. How's everybody doing today, Las Vegas? It's a special day here in Sin City as we get ready for the Benefit for Bay tonight. One of the most incredible independent cards ever put together. And I think Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver will back me up on that. It is pretty unique. This is going to be an unbelievable night. Get down to the Silverton. Meet and greets at 3:15, and the show starts at 5 with stars from WWE, AEW, TNA, and it's going to be a blast. So please come down. We'd love to see you at the Silverton. And we're going to break down some interesting things happening on this card other than the benefit that I want to talk about. But the first thing, Phil Stamper, that I want to get into, John Moxley was a bad boy again.
You mean a back-to-back bullet? Oh. I'm sorry, it was right there.
It is there, and I'm glad you took it. Thank you. If you did not see what happened on AEW Dynamite. So John Moxley and Cope, for those that may not be AEWers, Adam Copeland, of course, also known as Edge, they had a death match to kind of make up for an main event at AEW Revolution. Overall, it was a pretty good match. Kind of would have been nice if they'd have done this match at Revolution. Mm-hmm. But during the match, Cope has this little buddy that he likes to bring to the ring called Spike. It's a big chunk of wood with nails and spikes and all sorts of crazy stuff sticking out of it. We've seen things like this used before in pro wrestling, Abyss and McFoley, but not quite like this time, because Cope suplexed John onto Spike, and Spike did not let go. No siree, Bob. Spike was pretty much impaled in John's back. Wheeler Yuta could not get it out. And I'm forgetting who was refereeing the match. Poor guy had to take that thing, and it was caught in John's skin. It was not a pretty sight. But if you want to check a look at it, I'm sure you can find it on X or YouTube, anywhere you want.
Whoa. It looked vicious. It looked
horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying. Before we get into this, Phil, we've seen stuff on GCW, and look, I go back way old school. I've seen Abdul the Butcher and Terry Funk and, ECW days, and Mick Foley and some of these other guys do some pretty nasty stuff in the ring. Mm-hmm. Where does this spot rank with you, Phil Stamper?
My brain is going, I don't think they expected that.
No, I don't either.
Just that, it looks nasty. For those of you out there who have ever caught your finger on a nail, who have ever put a staple in your finger because you were taking off a staple on a pack of paper or something like that, and have just nabbed yourself that little bit that goes into your skin a millimeter. This went in a bit. There was a bat with nails coming out of it that stuck to his back after being suplexed on top of it.
Yeah, it was kind of hooked in.
Yeah,
like a bunch of fish hooks.
Yeah,
small fish hooks.
Yeah, painful.
Except it was nails and spikes. It was, and it certainly got everybody's attention. That's part of the game. But is that good attention, Phil? And I'm gonna give you a crazy example. My daughter is 16. She's not a big wrestling fan, but she has watched wrestling with me before a lot. And I told her about the spot on Thursday when I picked her up from school. And actually she wasn't from school, but I picked her up. She says this to me: Dad, that's really, really pretty disgusting. How could kids watch this? And she kept going and saying, part of watching pro wrestling is passing it on to the kids. You taught me that. And I don't know how, if you were a parent, that you could watch that and it hurts the business. This is coming from a 16-year-old teenage girl who is not a huge wrestling fan. Gives me this whole diatribe about why this is bad for business. And I'm just sitting there saying to myself, wow, if a 16-year-old girl is saying this, there's something to it, Phil.
So I agree in one large perspective, because the way, I don't know about you, the way I got into wrestling was there was Saturday morning, afternoon wrestling I could watch. Mm-hmm. And it actually morning because you had WCW, then later in the morning you had WWE, then later in the day you might have either more WWE, you had Saturday night's main event for WCW. And as a kid, that's how I had the pathway into wrestling. And then when you watch pay-per-view, sometimes you would see everything sort of escalated up to a higher level, more violence, more danger. Here and there, I think about the snake bite incident with Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
Here and there you would get stuff on TV, but more or less you weren't getting that kind of level. So I don't disagree with the fact there's a way to build your audience. AEW in one process is struggling with how they're trying to get in their audience, get people to pay more attention, get more eyes on the product, to make people then more interested on the pay-per-views, to build just overall general awareness of the product, for more fans to come back to AEW. And again, I don't think this was I really, in my brain, don't think there was an intention for it to stick in his back like that. So, but you're live on television. You have to kind of roll with it. It was the main event, right?
Yeah.
So it also wasn't happening at 8 p.m. It was happening at 9:55 p.m. So it's a little bit later in the evening. I get it too. Like, okay, is it appropriate for kids? I'd make a judgment call depending on the age of the kid and how mature you think they are. But is it okay for wrestling? Yeah, I would say it's okay for wrestling. Again, knowing that it probably was not the intention they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still go a little "Ugh," when I see it. But there's also that little violent streak in my brain that's like, do more.
I know, isn't
more.
it?
Right?
It's crazy. And you talk about your development in getting into pro wrestling. I go back a little further because when I think I started watching about late 82. And as I started to watch pro wrestling and learn more about it, I was picking, like you were talking about your viewing. Well, I got to see the WWF and Mid-Atlantic, World Class, and Florida, and all these organizations that were all over the place. And but then I read the magazines and see some of the books, and you would see the pictures of Abdul the Butcher and Carlos Colon as an example, who, if you are not familiar with the work that Abby did, and by the way, congratulations to him. By the way, DDP's working with him, and he's actually starting to get on his feet again at 80 some years old. So good for Abdul the Butcher. But he would always bring the plastic silverware to the ring and any other foreign objects he could dig up. And his job was to absolutely carve lines into your forehead. And you would see those pictures. I mean, Bill Apter and those guys put them out. They were there. Terry Funk did a lot of crazy stuff. You would see a lot of blood back in that time period, especially depending on the promotion. It was pretty rough. It was. Then you fast forward to today, where I think everything kind of got sanitized, especially we're used to WWE, being super family friendly. And, for a while, if there was blood, they'd make the screen black and white. I'm sure you remember that. It's such a fine line. It really is. And
sorry,
go ahead.
I'm laughing just because this was before I actually was a fan of wrestling. My little brother was flipping through channels, and I think it was Demolition and somebody got into some fight, and they're like recapping it for the next day or the next week or something. It was bloody. They didn't black it out. They just put like a big red X on the screen, but you could see everything that was happening around it.
Yeah. And so it's like, and I for the Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match that happened at Revolution, very bloody, very graphic match. But in that context, I'm kind of used to seeing when there was a steel cage, this was the blow off. These are two people that are disgusted with each other, that want to tear each other apart. You go back to the Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard I Quit match, one of the most legendary matches in pro wrestling history. And that match was a bloodbath. I mean, that if you've never seen it, it wraps up with Magnum TA with a broken chair leg, shoving it into Tully Blanchard's forehead to get him to say, well, he said yes. He never said I quit, by the way. Don't forget that part. Now, brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
So I am so torn on the stuff that AEW is doing, because I think sometimes they don't need to do it. But I would agree with you to a point, and that what happened in that match on Wednesday probably wasn't supposed to happen. So, but it's a death match, and that's the way death matches used to be. And Tony Khan's a wrestling historian, ECW guy. So, he's okay with this stuff. The question is, does it hurt business? And
as long as there wasn't like a side by side, go to Home Depot, get your nails 50% off at the same time, and there's no problem. Like,
yeah, it's Yeah, for those that don't know what Phil's talking about the Dominoes thing, there was a match that Nick Gage, who's a legendary deathmatch guy in GCW, was on with Chris Jericho, and they pulled out a pizza cutter. That was Nick Gage's big spot, and the pizza cutter was being used while they were on a break, and there was a Domino's ad on the side.
Yeah,
and Domino's decided not to sponsor AEW anymore, but it was funny. I was laughing. I'm sorry, but I was laughing at that. It was hilarious. It is such a fine line to where you take violence in pro wrestling, and especially when it's on one of your main shows like Dynamite. No, this is I don't know. I'm torn, man. I'm really torn. I know that when I went to Double or Nothing last year and all hell broke loose in that Mayhem match, you got Jack Perry getting lit on fire. You got Darby Allin hanging upside down and getting double super kicked with thumbtacks by the Young Bucks and some other really rough spots. I don't know if I'd have wanted my daughter there for that. I really don't, especially if I had a smaller kid.
I have seen really dumb things on shows that label themselves a deathmatch show. That doesn't mean they're all dumb. That doesn't mean people who are doing it are dumb. It just means that sometimes there are choices. That's just like, I question why this happened this way. And just, again, that's part of my brain is like, that was not the expectation of things that were going to happen. But again, you're on live TV, you got to roll with it. And the way then it was sold after that fact was like, I had a bat with nails sticking out of my back. It wasn't like it was forgotten about. It wasn't like it was just dropped in like, oh, pull it out, it's fine. Like it became an element part of the match, and now it's being shared so much. People are talking about it. Or more people. I am curious. Does that turn people away next week in the ratings, or does that bring more people back in to see it again?
Yep. That is the big trick on this. It's going to be fascinating to see the results of that. The other aspect that it's kind of a side thing for me, but I keep thinking of Renee Paquette, who does backstage interviews and hosts shows for AEW, but she is also John Moxley's wife. And John has done some pretty brutal things. I can't imagine what she was thinking. I take it from a perspective of if I was married to a wrestler and she did something like that, she did, I think we'd be having a talk. I really do. This comes and it's gonna be fun because I'm probably gonna ask Swerve about this when I get to see him, because he did that syringe spot a little bit with Hangman Adam Page. But I just wonder what a spouse, I'm not a fan of needles.
That makes me go crazy.
Yeah, I just wonder what a spouse is thinking. Because she's around the wrestling business, obviously. She's there. She's seen some pretty crazy things, but at the same time, that's her husband. Those nails could have gone deeper, and he could have been seriously injured. I can't imagine what kind of talk she's having with him. And Phil, you're out there all the time on the indie circuit, and there's people doing some really stupid stuff out there.
Yeah,
they are. You can say it. And I just wonder what family members and friends are looking at them, at their performers, and how you react to that. Give me a perspective.
So about a year ago, I am at home with other people. There may have been skewers stuck in my head.
we had it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that led to a lot of questions, because though I keep a clear separation on my social media is very much look at me in wrestling stuff. It's not like look at me at real life. But there are people in my life outside of wrestling who see that and go, so what happened here? Like, oh yeah, this thing that happened. And so it does become a talking point. You can't hide away from it, can't shy away from it. And it just happened. just like when you get injured, this happened. It happened this way. It could have happened if I was rock climbing. It could have happened if I was doing this thing. It could happen if I was climbing a ladder. And life happened. And so, because that's how I tore my ACL, for those of you who are not paying attention. So you do kind of roll with it in that perspective. People who are dedicated to it, I give them a lot of credit. Who they are known to be in the deathmatch community, because they devastate their bodies. They destroy their bodies. They scar themselves physically, and that's not something I want to do to myself. That's not where I'm at. That's not why I enjoy wrestling. I do enjoy some death matches, which is weird for me to say because that's not the genre I normally find myself wanting to go into to watch. But when I watch some of them, I'm like, oh wow. And so when you have to talk to your family about it, there's those awkward moments. But at the same time, if they know who you are and know what you're doing, like they get that you're also not doing things blindly, that you are also trying to take care of yourself as you're going through this. So, I think Renee understands that. Like, I'm sure there was probably a little bit of like, John, but then like, okay, let's go take care of it. Like,
I just
back to the doctor and clean yourself up.
I wonder if I've got to talk to EW guys and get her on, because I would love to know if she knew they were going to do that spot ahead of time. I really would, because if I'd have known my wife was going to do that spot, man, I'd have been looking at her and say, I love you, honey. I really do. But I just don't think you should do this. I know you love what you're doing and, you want to be supportive, but at the same time, man, like I said, I can't imagine what was going through her head. I'm curious to see what was going through Cope's head too. I got to get him on too and talk to him about it. Because I'm sure he didn't think that was going to happen either. But it's a fascinating topic. And if you haven't seen the clip, go look it up. It's not too hard to find, and judge it for yourself. But it's fun to talk about it on the show. All right, let's take a break. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I have a clip I want to talk about when we come back.
Okay, we'll talk about that too. When we get back, we've got a whole lot more the best in pro wrestling on the Mark Hoke Show. We're going to talk about this benefit for Bay today, a politics fight, some collegiate wrestling, and some stuff with Phil too. So stick around there. We've got a whole lot more on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll be right back.
Love your smile again with 4M.
Are you hiding your smile because of missing teeth? Do you cover your mouth when you talk? Have you stopped eating the foods you love because of pain? I'm Dr. Sean, founder of 4M Dental Implant Centers. And if you've been putting off fixing your teeth, how much longer will you wait? For 27 years, I've helped thousands in Las Vegas regain their confidence with 4M Smile in 24. You'll get strong, permanent teeth within 24 hours, custom designed in our in-house lab using cutting-edge technology. Are you worried about pain or cost? This is a trusted, pain-free process, financing options as low as $159 a month or 24 months interest-free. Our in-house lab makes the process faster, easier, and more affordable. Call 800-4M-DENTAL or visit us at 4mdentalimplants.com for your free consultation.
Your smile again with 4M.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. Big and loud doesn't always mean right. And the conventional mold doesn't define success. Goodbye, false quick buck promises. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, with integrity, experience, and authenticity. We're champions for the underdog. Life happens, and when you need help, you deserve a team without hidden agendas. A team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-303-0333. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Do you have a special needs child or an older adult in your home? The risk of them leaving the house unnoticed is real and terrifying, but you can protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security. Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly monitoring plans. Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-939-1441. That's 800-939-1441. 800-939-1441.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
1015 FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, let's keep it rolling because this show is just so darn good and everybody in Las Vegas loves it to death. Plus, around the planet, the Mark Hoke Show. Here on KDAWN, 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, streaming on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Make sure you download that app right now, and I promise Tim Walls is not going to show up at your house. So check that out.
But maybe Big E with a unicorn.
Yes, Big E with a unicorn, good. Tim Walls, bad. So make sure you get that app today. We're also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Appreciate everybody tuning in wherever you are. We certainly do appreciate it. I want to get into some stuff about the benefit for Bay tonight. And we talked about this card and just at the top of the last hour, just how incredible this is, Phil, with stars from WWE, AEW, TNA, and Hall of Famers and everybody else coming in. Killer Cross, Karrion Cross, Brian Cage, John
He'll
Morrison.
always be a killer to me.
I know. To us too here, trust me. Swerve Strickland, Leo Rush is going to be out there. The Rascals, Frankie Kazarian. So many top stars in the world of pro wrestling, who have roots in Vegas are going to be at this card. So make sure you come out tonight, get your tickets. It's going to be at Silverton at 5:00, meet and greets at 3:15. You get tickets for that as well. Proceeds are going to help Chris Bay, who of course was in that accident in October where he was paralyzed. He's now back on his feet and starting to walk again, but it is a long road to recovery for Chris. So please come on out. And you can also go to fswvegas.com. They've got links to where you can actually just make a donation if you want. It's also going to be on Triller TV, so you can watch it from around the world. There's some intriguing things on this card, though, Phil, that I want to throw out to you. And I'm curious to get your opinion. Hammerstone is wrestling Karrion Cross tonight. And of course, Hammerstone was, whether it was a contract ending or whatever the decision was, is no longer with TNA. We've also got Kenny King, who I cannot believe this guy is not signed somewhere with a major company. Longtime stalwart with Ring of Honor. He's wrestling Swerve Strickland tonight. Another guy on this card, Danny Limelight, who I think is one of the top independent performers on the planet, is going to get a big spotlight tonight in a 5-way match for his FSW championship. I think these are some big nights for these guys.
Oh yeah.
That people are going to get a look at them that may not have seen them before, but I almost feel like the three of them are auditioning today. Seriously, especially Hammerstone. What are your thoughts on some of these sidelights that are going on with some opportunities for a guy like Hammerstone, for Kenny King, and Danny, who has been, he admitted he was out goofing around the last time he was with AEW, did some stuff he shouldn't have been doing, trying to rehabilitate his image a little bit. This is a big night for them.
I agree. There'll be a lot of eyes, but I think they know it. They're not going to be unaware, like, oh, by random happenstance, I got looked at. Like, they have to be aware at a certain level that people are going to be watching this event, not just fans, but people inside the wrestling industry. You do well, more opportunities might come. And so I have to imagine they have to know that, especially when you look at Hammerstone Wrestling Karrion Kross. Karrion's on WWE television now, so there's gonna be probably some special attention paid to that. But for all of these matches, that is very much gonna be the case. And of course, it's all for Bay. And it's, I keep forgetting that, FSW is putting it on, because it's so much focused and in the right way about being a benefit for Chris Bay. And so I think it speaks to the level of the names, the talent that you've mentioned are great talent. And so people are going to have a great event. If this wasn't a benefit for Bay, granted, we probably wouldn't have some of these people on this event, but if it wasn't, people should go to this event because it's going to be a phenomenal event with such great talent on it. Now it's a benefit for Bay. Oh my gosh, you absolutely need to go and celebrate Chris Bay and enjoy the time. Enjoy your day. Give where you can to help support Bay in his continued recovery. And he can stand, and he is starting his progression of walking, but let's help him go further. And so, man, I know he's so appreciative of what everybody's coming together to do for him, and it's a very humbling experience to go through. So I think this is just going to be a solid event all over. Overall.
Being one of the indie experts in the country, and maybe on the planet, Phil, I'm gonna give you huge credit because you put the time in, man. I mean, if you don't follow Phil at Trust and Phil, and he puts up an independent calendar every week, every indie card that he can find. I mean, this man does his work, and it is absolutely incredible the service that he does to the wrestling industry. The significance of this card, Phil, how many opportunities are we ever going to see in our lifetime to have a card like this? Give me your honest opinion.
Not many. The only comparable one I can even think of was the Brian Pillman Memorial, and that happened 30 years ago, 25 years ago,
something like that.
So, and that again, it was a rare, unfortunate circumstance to be able to do that. This is a rare, unfortunate circumstance to be able to do this for Chris Bay. And life is different. Times are different. I think we're in a different era with the WWE allowing talent to do some other events. We've seen this. We've seen some WWE talent get out here and there, but I think Karrion's the first person who's from not NXT to go over to another event. And so I think it's the right timing for the right person, the right place with a lot of great talent.
Yeah. So come on out, guys. Go to fswvegas.com, and we would love to see you out there today. I know I'm going to be out there with Mike Franco from Off Grid Creations, my boss from here at Odyssey. Who else is coming? And actually, my friend from Pennsylvania, who was my best man at my wedding, I haven't seen for a long time. He's going to be coming out too. He hasn't been to a wrestling card since he was a kid. So we're going to have an awesome night tonight over there at the Silverton. So please come join us. Phil, you had a little story you were going to tell. I didn't want to let you forget about what you were going to bring up.
Well, actually, it was something you brought up, and I didn't want you to forget, because another clip that has gone viral is, and it's funny because I saw the clip without context, and then later I saw who it was about. Wyatt Hendrickson beating Gable Stevenson.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shocked.
This, and there's some interesting aspects to this that, of course, if you don't know what we're talking about, this was the NCAA Wrestling Championships last night, which my Penn State Nittany Lions won their 12th national championship in the last 14 years. Cale Sanderson may be the best coach in America right now. And Carter Starachi, a great kid, wins his 5th Division I national championship. No one has ever done that. And then we had the what may be the biggest upset since the 70s at the national championship. Stan Gable, of course, the Iowa legend, got beat in a final back in 1970, I believe. But Gable Stevenson, who you're probably all very familiar with, 2-time national champion, 5-time All-American, unfortunately washed out in WWE, just didn't work out for him at all. And then went on to try out for the Buffalo Bills and gave it a shot. That didn't go. Well, he got upset last night he somehow got a year of eligibility. I don't know how it happened, but he was upset in the finals last night. He had not given up a takedown all season, which if you have not done amateur wrestling, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible to never get taken down during the season. But Wyatt Hendrickson from Oklahoma State, who came out, was at Air Force and just transferred to Oklahoma State for his last year, draped in the American flag, and managed with about 30 seconds left with the match being at, I think it was 3-2, if I remember right, managed to take down Gable and win the match in the national championship. And everybody just went crazy last night. Stevenson saluted the president who was at this event. And you saw you've seen some pro wrestling influence go on to what they are doing in collegiate wrestling right now. I know Penn State, everybody's got entrance music when they come out, and they had that last night. Carter Starachi comes out to his Halloween theme, which is just incredible. Carter's a great dude. But that was a scene last night, Phil. But one thing that I feel bad for Gable, man, I'll tell you what, he was trash talking Wyatt before the match, or when Wyatt came out. But this has been a rough time for Gable Stevenson, who is a guy who, one of the announcers was calling him the baddest man on the planet. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But this is a defining moment for him, because this is supposed to be Superman going into the UFC apparently. And in about 40 seconds of this match, it all gets wiped away. I mean, it's unimaginable, Phil.
I mean, kind of two things. It's a big surprise upset. He won by 1 point. And so I only say that because it was so close that whole time until the very end. So he won, and that should take nothing away, because, oh my gosh, Wyatt was so impressive in doing it. Gable, and whether it was just, a little bit of his WWE coming out, cutting promos on people, and he lost. So now he has to eat some crow. MMA is a different kind of level of competition. That, again, it was 1 point. So I don't think this ends his whatever Gable goes to do next. Because he is a senior, I'm not losing my mind. He's also
yeah, of course he's won 3 world championships, and he's an Olympic gold medalist too.
Yeah,
I mean the resume is impeccable.
So it just means that Wyatt now might be brought up to that level, but other people have come up to that level before, haven't done anything after. So it's sort of like, where does Wyatt go from here? Where does Gable go from here? Regardless, you have to keep working after here. So I'm curious where both will end up.
Yeah, I know Wyatt said he's planning to try to compete for the 2028 Olympics, but isn't this a kid that when you look at him, he's got pro wrestler written all over him, doesn't he? So does Carter Starachi, by the way.
Right. They do. They all do. Oh my God. Austin DeSanto. I don't know if any of you remember him from his time in the NCAA just a couple years ago at Iowa. I've been waiting for him to show up in pro wrestling, because, man, he had an attitude. And I was like, he'd be drama in the back at the same time. Like, man, he'd be such a presence on television. And being a wrestler, having an amateur wrestling background, you understand how the body works, how the body moves. And so it's a great transition for somebody to go into pro wrestling or MMA. So I really kind of want to see, where they go. Because that might not be Wyatt might not want to do that. He might want to compete at the Olympics, but let's say he doesn't get in. Does he go to the WWE? Does he go on to the UFC? Does he even want to? Man, I'm cool doing whatever, because I don't know what his major was or is in college. Does he go into the military, because he used to be a former Air Force Academy? So I'm really curious where he goes next after. Does he get into the Olympics? That'd be really cool. I'm really curious what happens next.
I can only imagine that he has to be getting a phone call from WWE and AEW. I mean, after that, if I were there, I'd be like, guys, we got to call this dude. Even if he doesn't want to do it, we got to check in let them know we're thinking of them, because that was, I mean, you see all the videos and everything that happened last night. Said it's got pro wrestling written all over it.
I mean, I agree. The visual of it is really cool. The only thing I kind of go back against is like WWE is set up to have a contentious relationship between opponents. It's a good guy and a bad guy. Where in NCAA collegiate sports, it's supposed to be a little bit more about the athleticism, a little bit more about the sportsmanship. And so if you're talking trash to each other, like that might actually be in violation of the NCAA rules or your own code of conduct at your own academic institution. So I'm not encouraging that we go down that far of a path with our NCAA athletics, but
it's
the
starting
visual
to,
presentation was cool.
It's happening though.
I know it is.
You like AJ Ferrari and God, I'm trying to think of some of the guys. One of the guys from Iowa who shot his mouth off this year. It's starting to happen, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how collegiate wrestling markets itself, because you do see a lot of little signs that they're picking up on what they're doing in pro wrestling. And another example last night was Starachi's match was put on first.
Mm-hmm.
They moved it because normally they just start the lightest weight class and go up to heavyweight.
They've changed that for years. They do like sort of not a coin toss, but basically a coin toss to like figure out where they're going to start in the weight category.
Yeah, in a regular match. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at nationals, they just run it. But they decided to put Starachi's match on first, which is a pure pro wrestling, UFC, boxing kind of thing to open up a card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Starachi was ticked about it, but somehow God put his hand in there and said, "This will work out. It's okay." But it's fascinating too. And of course, the women, by the way, if you didn't know, are now a sanctioned sport in the NCAA. So women's wrestling will have a national championship starting next year, which is another possible feeder system from amateur wrestling into the pros too. Because don't tell me that WWE and AEW and others aren't going to be sitting around watching those ladies.
Right.
Because obviously women's wrestling has been around for a while, but this is going to be a more focused presentation of it. So that should be fascinating too. Opportunities for the women.
And I will say, out of this too, there have been some influencers on social media that have risen up in the amateur wrestling side of the world to highlight and showcase this is what amateur wrestlers are going through too. So there's a young man. This is his senior year. He didn't qualify for nationals this year for D2, but had right before that opportunity, like that was his first match he lost. He won everything else up until that opportunity. And so he has like over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. KDAWN Henschel, because he's been covering amateur wrestling since he was in high school and just talking about that world and what that's like, and then showcasing matches that not only he was in, but bouts with other people and showcasing them. He went to the D2 Wrestling Nationals just to showcase it. And right now that is sitting at 19,000 views. So, he's doing pretty well for himself as a YouTuber to speak about the world of amateur wrestling. More people in pro wrestling should probably take notice of that and be like, hey, we should put ourselves out there more. I think there's a lot to be said about, Speedball Mike Bailey and how he covered himself. Him and Veda have put out like a YouTube, not just YouTube, but a vlog series about themselves and their travels in wrestling. And I think that helped a little bit with some more awareness about Speedball Mike Bailey. That you didn't just rely on him being on TNA for his presence. That you were able to go on YouTube and like, oh, he's here. Oh, let me turn on Trailer TV and he's on Revolver and GCW and all these other places. Like, okay, I'm really interested in what Speedball is doing. Oh, he's at AEW. I know who that guy is.
Yeah, it's important. So, yeah, fascinating time over the past few days, and we'll see if any lessons get learned, to say the least. And two young men have their futures ahead of them. We'll see what happens. Let's take a break, and when we come back, going to give Phil the floor a little bit. Some unfortunate things happening with some people in pro wrestling, but also Kane and Governor Walls. Dear God, need I say more? Stick around, everybody. We've got more coming on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll be right back.
Is politics freaking you out these days? Is the news freaking you out? It's freaking me out. You know what? I have to talk to somebody about it. And maybe it's you. Join us Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight, right here on 101.5 FM. We talk about everything from politics to religion and everything in between. Perilous World Radio. Because what we have a perilous world. Join me Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight, right here on 101.5 FM, Perilous World Radio. See you then.
There go the Georges again, off to Kanab.
Yeah, Bill couldn't stop talking about it all week.
Ooh, I want to try sand surfing. I want to see the wave.
I want to sleep under the stars.
I want some peace and quiet.
Oh, sorry, Dad.
No, I meant in Kanab. Let's go. If we hurry, we can catch the Georges. A launch point to national parks, otherworldly landscapes, and hidden walkways. Base Camp Kanab. Stay here to go anywhere. Plan your trip at visitsouthernutah.com. Produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
101.5 FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
I'm just being so stupid on the live stream. It's not even funny today. Unbelievable.
What are you doing? What are you
Well,
doing
I was,
over there?
I was punching you, but you weren't paying attention. Welcome back to the Mark Hoke Show. Final segment. And as we get ready for the Benefit for Bay tonight, last shot. Go get your tickets. We'd love to see you tonight at Silverton, 5 o'clock. So come join us for one of the great indie cards of all time. Should be a lot of fun. So, Phil, I hate to turn the bad news over to you, but a lot of some bad things happened over the past few days.
It's been a tough week for a lot of people in pro wrestling. Let's start with last weekend. Vincent Rosa, otherwise known as Vince Steele, passed away during the start of a match up at Bree Combination Wrestling in the Bronx in New York. Cardiac event. He was 39. But since then, there have been a few other passings this past week. Julio Estrada Jr., who's known as Mr. Hardcore Rico Suave out of Puerto Rico and Florida, passed away from cancer at 54. Eduardo Gonzalez, he was also a ref from Puerto Rico, passed away at 54. Trent Hanner, who wrestled as Trent Hammer, had actually been featured on AEW not too long ago, like within the last year, passed away at the age of 40. And then a student from wrestling, Revolver, was on an event called XVW in Ohio. Graham Michael, otherwise known as the Artist, passed away from seemingly a cardiac event at the age of 30. He just turned 30.
Wow.
And I say seeming, that seems to be what happened, but there hasn't been an official cause released yet. And just, man, these are sudden, these are tragic. A lot of people are hurting and they're reeling from all of this too. And I had somebody reach out to me just last night, like I don't know how to process this. And so just for those of you who are dealing with the loss, being comfortable enough to talk to somebody and know that you have other people near you who want to talk and process this through is okay. That's a normal part of it. And so it's hard to go through and to experience. On the wrestling side, based on some of this, there's a lot of talk now about what promotions individually might do for the health of their talent. Like maybe they need to get more physicals done. Maybe they need to have some screening on site. In some states, they do. Maryland, for example, is a state that a doctor is there before the start of a show, and by the procedures in the wrestling commission, they're checking your blood pressure. They're giving you a very, very minor workup every show you compete on. And if your blood pressure is too high, they won't let you on. They will not let you compete. And so people are talking about it, and it's good that they're having some of the conversation about how do we do this? Should we do this? What is the ramification? And so promotions are working that through, because it's going to be a hard thing to then enforce on some levels too. Like, you buy the $20 blood pressure cuff from Walmart. Is that good enough? Do you need something more expensive? Do you need a medical professional there? What happens when you bring in a talent from outside, paid all this expense for a flight, and now their blood pressure is too high? What says it's too high? Like, are you having them do a physical activity and then take their blood pressure? Are you telling them to not take any caffeine before they do anything, including their match? So there's a lot of considerations that people have to just take in mind when they start implementing this. But I think it's all with good reason. It's all with good discussion. It's all with the purpose of benefiting the talent for their own health and safety. And so I think the biggest thing is people forget that referees are a part of the event. People forget that they're talent as well, that they're knowledgeable talent, they're good communicators, they're the third person in the match for a reason. But that they also, many of them, are and should be trained in CPR and first aid. There is no state that I know of that actually requires a referee to do that, to have that knowledge. And so in both of the events with Vince and with Graham, there were referees who knew CPR and jumped in to help. And so great on them for doing that. And I wish I knew the refs' names. I would shout them saying thank you for being there. And unfortunately, it's not the first time we've had this conversation. I mean, Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack on a WWE broadcast.
Right.
And so, hopefully it just continues a conversation. What is the best practice, and how do you enforce it? And just how do we look out for each other? That if you're seeing signs that something feels wrong, looks wrong, just talk. You as the person, if you feel like something's wrong, communicate it out. But then if you as a person look at somebody and go, something isn't right, I know you're not acting yourself, you're acting weird, you're looking weird, confused, something's distorted. Let me have a conversation with you. What's going on too, and being able and comfortable to do that. And that if you're not, sorry, maybe it's a little tough love, and promoters are gonna have to jump in a lot more if they're planning on implementing some of these processes.
Yeah, it's the more important thing is we want to keep you around. So those of you out in the industry, take care of yourselves. If you can't if something's wrong, you can't wrestle a match or do a match, it's okay. We'd rather have you around to see you do 1,000 more. So yeah, tough week. Final thing wanted to hit. Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, former VP nominee, shot his mouth off and said he wanted to beat up all the MAGA supporters and take people out in a WWE style match. He gets called out by Tyrus and Kane, Glenn Jacobs, who has been pushing this hard. He wants a charity match. Phil, should we have Kane beat up Tim Walz?
Let's go.
Yes.
Then again, I don't know. Tim might be a surprise ringer that you didn't expect. Oh, Kane will. I hate to say Kane's going to demolish him, but
yes.
I'd love to see it, and I think people would pay for it. You get a charity involved and say, okay, you're going to have a celebrity fight between Mayor Kane and Governor Walz. and give it to a charity, I'll support it. I'll ref it.
There you go. Yeah. The crazy world of politics sometimes. It's incredible. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Phil Stamper, of course, you can find him at Trust and Phil and at PW Revolver on X. He is an amazing guy and very knowledgeable, and I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you about anything you want, including, keeping a nice bald head. It'll work. No comment?
Not in a word.
All right,
Not
fair
in a
enough.
word.
Hey, get out to the Benefit for Bay tonight. We will see you there this evening. And don't forget to say hi to my friend Mike at Off Grid Creations. Give him a call, 661-300-1115, and he will do a free brand consultation for you. You can make anything you need for your company, and it's also at off-gridcreations.com. Follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show, YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show, and everything else. Pretty easy to find me. Well, guys, we will see you next week and hopefully see you at the Benefit tonight. Have a great one, Las Vegas.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Your